In the middle of the Egyptian desert lies one of the most powerful pieces of infrastructure ever created by human engineering. It is not a towering financial capital. It is not a vast industrial zone. And it is not a natural river carved by time. It is a narrow waterway cut deliberately through sand. Yet this artificial channel quietly influences nearly every modern economy on Earth. Stretching approximately 193 kilometers across Egypt, the canal connects two critical bodies of water, the Mediterranean Sea in the north and the Red Sea in the south. At first glance, it appears almost ordinary, a straight ribbon of blue slicing through a flat, sun-bleached landscape. But this corridor is one of the most strategic choke points on the planet. Nearly 12% of global trade passes through it every single day. Through this narrow passage travel enormous container ships, floating cities stacked with steel boxes. Inside those containers, electronics manufactured in East Asia, textiles stitched in South Asia, automobiles assembled in South Korea and Japan, machinery, consumer goods, industrial equipment. Tankers loaded with oil and liquefied natural gas move north toward European markets. Bulk carriers transport grain, coal, metals, and raw materials that feed global industries. Without this canal, the modern global economy would operate at a completely different speed. To understand why this waterway holds such power, we must go back to a time before it existed. For centuries, trade between Europe and Asia depended entirely on one exhausting maritime route. Ships departing from Europe had to sail south along the western coast of Africa. They would then attempt to navigate the violent waters surrounding the Cape of Good Hope. Storms in this region were infamous. Winds were unpredictable. Shipwrecks were common. After surviving the Cape, vessels would continue north across the Indian Ocean toward India, Southeast Asia, and China. This journey added thousands of kilometers. Travel time stretched into months. Costs increased. Risks multiplied. For merchants, distance meant expense, and reducing distance meant profit. The idea of connecting the Mediterranean Sea directly to the Red Sea promised something revolutionary. Ancient dreams, modern engineering. The concept of linking the two seas was not new. Thousands of years ago, Egyptian pharaohs constructed canals connecting sections of the Nile River to the Red Sea. But these early waterways were shallow and unreliable. They could not handle large-scale maritime trade. A true sea-to-sea canal through Egypt remained an engineering dream. That dream finally materialized in the 19th century. In 1859, construction began under the leadership of Ferdinand de Lesseps. Tens of thousands of laborers worked under harsh desert conditions, blazing heat, blowing sand, back-breaking excavation. The project lasted 10 years. And in 1869, the Suez Canal officially opened. The impact was immediate. A voyage from London to Mumbai was shortened by nearly 7,000 kilometers. For global trade, this was not just improvement, it was transformation. Empire and control. With economic value came geopolitical ambition. The British Empire quickly understood the canal's importance. India was Britain's most valuable colony. The Suez Canal was the fastest maritime connection between London and Mumbai. In 1875, Britain purchased a major share in the Canal Company. Soon after, British forces occupied Egypt. For decades, Britain effectively controlled this vital artery. During both World War I and World War II, the canal became a military lifeline. Troops, weapons, fuel, and supplies flowed through it. Protecting the canal became a strategic necessity. But history shifted again in 1956. The Suez Crisis, a turning point. In July 1956, Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser announced that Egypt would nationalize the Suez Canal. For decades, foreign powers had dominated its operations and profits. Now, Egypt would control its own strategic asset. Britain and France reacted with anger. Alongside Israel, they launched a military invasion. The conflict became known as the Suez Crisis. But the global balance of power had changed. The United States and the Soviet Union pressured the invading forces to withdraw. Within weeks, the invasion collapsed. The canal remained under Egyptian control. The crisis marked the decline of old European imperial dominance, and it reinforced the canal's identity as a sovereign regional asset, a modern choke point. Today, the canal is operated by the Suez Canal Authority. It remains one of the busiest shipping corridors on Earth. Dozens of ships pass through daily. Some are among the largest machines ever constructed. Modern container vessels can carry more than 20,000 containers at once. Each container is a link in a global supply chain. A delay in one shipment can affect factories thousands of kilometers away. But the canal carries more than consumer goods. It is also a major energy corridor. Oil and liquefied natural gas from the Middle East flow north toward Europe. Any disruption here can influence global fuel prices. The Evergreen, a 6-day shock. In March 2021, the canal's vulnerability became dramatically clear. A massive container ship named Evergreen entered the waterway during strong winds. Nearly 400 meters long, longer than many skyscrapers are tall. As it passed through a narrow section, powerful gusts pushed it off course. The bow struck one bank, the stern hit the opposite side. The vessel became lodged sideways across the canal, and instantly, global trade stopped. Hundreds of ships were trapped. Each day of blockage delayed billions of dollars in goods. Factories lacked parts, energy shipments slowed, retail products remained stranded at sea. The blockage lasted 6 days, but its economic shockwaves spread worldwide. It revealed a critical truth about globalization. The world depends on a small number of narrow passages, and when one fails, everyone feels it. Geography and power. The Suez Canal sits at the heart of a vital maritime chain. To the south lies the Red Sea, leading toward the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and the Indian Ocean. To the north lies the Mediterranean, opening toward Europe and the Atlantic. Together, these waterways form the shortest maritime link between Asia and Europe. Without the canal, ships would return to the long route around Africa. Costs would rise, delivery times would expand, energy markets would tighten. Recognizing its importance, Egypt invested heavily in modernization. In 2015, a major expansion project added new channels, allowing two-way traffic in several sections. Capacity increased, waiting times dropped. But despite modernization, the canal remains physically narrow. Precision navigation is essential. Specially trained pilots guide each vessel. Tugboats stand ready, because when the canal stops, the world notices. Final reflection, a line that holds the world together. The Suez Canal is not just infrastructure. It is an artery of globalization. It connects continents. It compresses distance. It accelerates commerce. The global economy may seem digital and invisible, but beneath the data networks and financial markets lies a physical system. Ports, railways, pipelines, and narrow waterways carved through deserts. Every day, ships carrying the products we rely on glide quietly between two seas. A narrow line in the sand, yet one that helps hold the modern world together. Because sometimes, global power is not found in skyscrapers or stock exchanges. Sometimes, it flows through a channel of water in the desert.